My name is Louie Gusoff. I started on Detroit Fire Department April 4th, 1966. I retired as Senior Chief after 39.5 years in '05. I got a little history on growing up here I'd like to do real quick. I was born in Hanover, Pennsylvania, just outside of Gettysburg. My dad was in the Army. He was in the 25th Infantry. He was at Pearl Harbor when they bombed it. He was also at Guadalcanal, where he got wounded and got malaria. Well, he got stationed in Gettysburg at a German POW camp on the battlefield. That's where he met my mother. They got married, and in 1948 we moved to Detroit. And the marriage only lasted a couple of years, and I was sent back to Pennsylvania to be raised by my grandfather. But he died in 1960, and I came to Detroit and with my mother and a new husband, and went from a high school of 400 to Cody High in Detroit with 4,000, which was an adjustment. One thing my new father instilled in me was I had to have a job when I got out of high school. So I actually joined the police department at 17 as a cadet, right before I graduated in '63. Well, in the police department, most of the cadets all came on the fire department, and the three right in front of me, Charlie Gatto, Bill Juergens, and Larry McNeil, all came on the fire department. With my time, I came on the fire department April 4th, '66, and went to the academy with 16 other guys, which was good. In May 31st, I came to this house here, Ladder 8, my first assignment, and my first day was actually kind of funny. I was here with one of the first black guys to get assigned here, Paul Garrison, who later was the chief of training. But anyway, our first day, we're putzing around the kitchen, just learning all the chores and everything, and I see the guys start to congregate in the kitchen. So we're in the kitchen, we're helping to cook, and I didn't pay attention because everybody was getting in line with their silverware and plates and waiting. So the cook says, "Hey, you two guys first day, why don't you eat first?" And I remember we had these gigantic platters, just huge platters. We're loading up and everybody's standing in line watching us. And the cook goes, no. I remember Swiss steak. Get more, just fill it up. So we filled our plates up. He goes, 2 seats over there at the end of the kitchen. There's a phone right there. That's where you guys sit. So we go sit down, and I remember Paul saying, "These guys are great, man. I can't believe we're eating before them." Well, actually, we were sitting in the captain and the chief's chairs. The captain and chief came sweeping in the room and get those a-holes out of here. So we found out later that the trialmen don't eat in the kitchen with the regular guys. They eat at the watch desk. So I finished my trial service at Ladder 8 and went in the Manpower pool at that time, which was, it was headquartered downtown, and you called every day for a detail. This usually was like 6 or 8 months, and so I took details every day for 6 months. And it was funny because when I was a trialman, they kind of took care of me, but once you're in the Manpower pool, you're just there to do all the menial chores. So I remember many days doing the windows upstairs and down, just doing all this work. I wet mopped Engine 37's attic, and there were still bales of straw up there. And one day I got detailed to 55s, and there was a Russian captain there, Alexander Novikov, and he goes, "Pinimash Pelushki." Well, I knew what he meant. He's asking me, do I speak Russian? I go, no. So we started talking, and he goes, so how do you get along with all them old Polish captains? I go, okay, I guess. He goes, you probably don't even know. That's why I was doing all this menial stuff all the time. So that went on. I got out of the Manpower pool and went to Engine 34 on Livernois, just north of Warren, and it was a great place. All the firefighters were older, so I was the youngest guy. This was in '67. So I took all the details, and Squad 4 had some guys off duty, so most of the details were there. So eventually just detailed me to Squad 4 for the summer. Well, first day of the riot, I was working, it was a Sunday, and I come in the morning at Squad 4, and we had an acting firefighter in charge, Jim Tenney. The driver was Sid Sidlowski, Ed Lawande, Bill O'Grady, and myself. So everybody's all excited, all this stuff's going on. There's a lot of people running around, we can see. Well, the first multiple alarm was right after, early afternoon. We responded, turned left on the boulevard, and we could see people running everywhere. We got to 12th Street, turned north. It was just solid people the whole way up there. By the time we got to Blaine, there wasn't one window left in the squad. Everything was smashed out. So it was a furniture store, second alarm. You know, everybody's like trying to be invisible, and it wasn't working. So I went to get out of the back of the rig, and I'm pushing on the door to get out, and I couldn't get it open because people were smashing it with clubs. And I finally turned around to ask the other guys, what are we gonna do? And they were gone. They went out the windshield and the front door. So we went in the fire, and this was the beginning of the riot. I was 4 days before I got home. At that fire there was people that we seen police come with Tommy guns, so everybody knew it was bad. But you know, before cell phones, nobody knew what was going on. So John Conyers was there with a bullhorn, the congressman, and he's standing like 10 feet from me, and he took an unknown object in the head, and I picked him up, and later on, years later, I was a chief, I ran into him at a political event, and we're talking, I go, hey, I'm the fireman that picked you up at 12th and Blaine. He goes, oh my God, I gotta talk to you. Well, he got busy, and I never really did get to talk to him after that. So, another thing, riot, I remember sitting on a 2.5-inch line at 14th and I-94. And it was like the middle of the night. I can't remember what day it was, but it was the middle of the night. There's probably 10 or 12 of us sitting there on the line, and just doing nothing really. And we heard the ground started to shake, and we heard this rumbling. And out of the smoke underneath the viaduct came a Sherman tank. That's when everybody knew this is really, really bad. So I made it through the riot. Finally made it back to my own company after 4 days, Engine 34, and it was quite a 4 days. And the rumors going around were just crazy. I just read a book about Pearl Harbor, and one of the big rumors there were the Japanese are landing right now. They're landing in assault boats, and they're having a giant invasion. Well, that wasn't true. And just like the rumors we heard, everything's already burned up all the way to Telegraph Road. Everybody's worried about their families. So, okay.
So how old were you then for the riots?
21.
How long had you been on the department?
Year and a half. I wasn't a rookie. I had a year and a half on it. Yeah, but it was a bonus being detailed to Squad 4 for that summer. I went to a lot of fires, and I remember one of them on another fire in the boulevard. We were at the shop, so when we responded to the fire, we couldn't really get close. There were people trapped. I jumped out of the back of the rig, and I started running to the fire, and I didn't realize that you really don't want to run that much with the old smoke mask, because once you lose your breath, you can't get it. But I got to the front door, and the door blasts open. And I remember the guys, it was Captain Kenny Gabriel. He handed me a baby. He says, get going. So the rest of the guys aren't quite there yet, so I start running back with the baby. We get back, and I noticed while I was running with him that his mouth was charred on the inside. Oh, God. We get to the rig. I hand him to a guy in the squad, and he wouldn't come off my hands. His skin was actually stuck to my hands. So they had to actually pull him off my hands, and it was pretty traumatic. So after the riot, my year at Engine 34, I went to Engine 12, which was a big-time firefighting company. This is when they were building the Jeffries Freeway, so we had tons of vacant houses, and it was busy. We were getting 400 runs a month.